Your kind words, expressions of sympathy, calls, texts, and all the food and baked goods that so many of you sent our way over the last week. My mom, my older brothers, and their families can't thank you enough. The goodness you have shown to us has helped to ease our pain and sorrow as we mourn the loss of our wonderful dad. If any of you wants to offer your own words of remembrance after my brother and me, you are more than welcome. So please feel free to do that when Joe and I are done. So it was Friday, March 26, 1943. Dad was born in Norristown to his parents, Silvio Ciccarone, who was an Italian immigrant, and also a tailor, and Julia Sobrani Ciccarone. She was a seamstress. He would become the older brother to my Uncle Joe and Uncle Jerry. Their home was at 721 West Oak Street in the West End of Norristown, as they all called it. It was a neighborhood where Dad would eventually serve as a paper delivery boy. The Ciccarone home was within walking distance to their church and parish school, which was St. Francis of Assisi. Dad went on to attend Bishop Kenrick High School and impressively graduated number 3 in the class of 1961. He continued his education at Villanova, and he graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering in 1965. He paid his own way through college by bartending at the General Washington Country Club, which is now Chadwick's in Audubon. After graduating, he worked for 9 years at the Philadelphia Navy Yard's Naval Engineering Center, and then 29 years for the Defense Supply Center in Northeast Philadelphia. He was the chief of engineering when he retired from there. Very impressive. He had an illustrious career, and he spent nearly 4 decades working for the Department of Defense. That career was marked by many awards and honors. His work earned him an induction in not only 1, but 2 halls of fame for the Department of Defense. He was commended at one of his inductions as a leader of both programs and people. But his greatest achievement occurred when he met my mom, Karen Marchese. They married on August 23rd, 1969, and they were married for nearly 56 years. And their marriage truly has been an inspiration to so many people. So let me talk about my dad. Dad, he was our family guidance counselor. He was the voice of reason in any situation. He was the master of pulling us all together for a family meeting to find solutions to some of our greatest dilemmas. He was also a great financial advisor and a general problem solver. He was always honest, usually brutally honest, and my dad never minced words. If you wanted an honest opinion on anything, you just had to talk to my dad. One time, my girls, who are now 16 and 14, they were on this basketball team, and the team was really not that good. It was they didn't have a lot of success on the court. Well, anyway, they said, "Papa, what do you think of our team?" And he said, "Well, you really want to know? You have no talent, you can't shoot, you can't dribble, they can't pass. There are a bunch of statues out there. You guys are never going to win a game playing like that." Well, Mariana and Gianna, they ran out of the room crying, and they were so upset. But that was my dad. He was brutally honest, but he meant it with a good heart. He was so strong. He was a steadfast and a determined man. But he was one of the most emotional men you could ever meet. It didn't take much to move my dad to tears, especially as he got older. A bride walking down the aisle with her father would especially choke him up. Even if he was watching a TV show and it was a bride he had never met, he would break down in tears as he watched this bride walk up the aisle with her father. He had a genuine and wholehearted investment in the relationship he had with others. He made it a point to know and address every person by name wherever we went. Anywhere we went, especially when we went out to a restaurant. He would ask a waiter or waitress 2, 3, 4 times their name because he wanted to know them, who they were, and remember them. He would never say, he would hate to say miss or sir, he wanted to know their name. And he was like that in every aspect of his life. So let me talk about a restaurant. So, first of all, no one has ever had any trouble hearing my dad. He talked very loud, okay? And if he was talking to someone whose first language wasn't English, he really talked loudly, and he talked slowly. And he would talk in broken English. So he thought they would understand him better. So we were in Sicily. I was a teenager. I was going into my senior year. We all went to Italy, and we were in Sicily together. We were at this restaurant. And where the meal is over, my dad, he pulls out a MasterCard, and he says to the waiter, "Carta de Master?" Which he was trying to say, "Do you accept MasterCard? I want to pay you with a MasterCard." Well, the waitress got mad, and he slammed his hand on the table. He said, "No, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. Sprite, Sprite. MasterCard, MasterCard." And we all laughed so hard, but he was just trying to connect. Speaking of restaurants, you were hard-pressed to beat my dad in picking up the check if you went out to dinner with him. Some meals he would literally wrestle people for the check. He always wanted to pick up the bill. He was so generous in that regard. And I'm sure if you ever had dinner with my dad, you would have experienced that. He donated humbly to many charities, including St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, war veteran organizations, and to many charities dedicated to people with disabilities. He was extremely handy, and he could fix most things, and that's a quality that has skipped a generation. My dad saved everything. All of his possessions were lined up like soldiers wherever he stored things. Everything was meticulously organized. He had canceled checks from the year my mom and dad got married in 1969 in the shoebox labeled from that year. Unbelievable. I mean, you cannot even believe how organized this man was. If something was still somewhat operational and worked, he kept it. He did not throw anything that worked away. So he had a scale in his walk-in closet that was his grandfather's, and Dad still used the scale up to his illness. He said, "Well, you just have to add 5 pounds to the scale, and you'll know your weight." And he would not throw that scale away. It worked, he said. So why do we want to throw it away? He was like MacGyver. So if you remember the 1980s show MacGyver could make a bomb out of a Q-tip. Well, my dad had all of these little knickknacks in his pocket all the time. We said that he had magic pockets. If you needed a random item, Dad had it in his pocket. And I'm talking about a folded paper towel, a paper clip, a binder clip. He would keep safety pins, cuticle scissors. He would have a wet nap, a cough drop, gum. They were all always in his pocket. We don't know how he carried all these things around, but we always did pop, had them in his pocket. And they're just some of the things he had in his magic pockets. He loved Philadelphia sports teams, most especially the Phillies and Eagles. He even was at the 1960 NFL championship game when the Eagles beat the Packers. And he even had a devotion to the Oakland A's, because when he was a boy in the 1950s, the A's were a Philadelphia team. And he always followed the Oakland A's up until his death. Dad enjoyed milk duds, a piece of fruit after dinner. He watched Fox News 24/7. He enjoyed going to the casino. He loved card games. He loved the racetrack. He loved horse racing. And believe it or not, as Monsignor San Germano said in his homily, he enjoyed General Hospital in his later years. And even on his deathbed, he wouldn't miss watching that show with my mom every day. Okay, if company came, they had to stay downstairs until General Hospital was over when he was sick. Much to the dismay of many others in a room with a TV, he loved the Lawrence Welk Show. This man never missed the Lawrence Welk Show, which usually comes on Saturday nights, the reruns on public television. And I'll make a confession, I as a musician, I appreciate the show too, so I'll continue to watch it in his memory. He was the son of the seamstress and tailor. My dad could sew buttons and hem pants with the best of them. He was a man proud of his Italian heritage, a man of faith and prayer. He was very dedicated to Holy Savior Parish, and even until his death, he was a member of the Pastoral Council and Finance Committee. So we came to the final months of my dad's life. He suffered terribly and quietly, and he had this cancer that took over him so quickly over a 5-month period. My mom was a rock star caretaker of my dad. My mom needs a round of applause for how she cared for my dad. And my mom never complains. You have no idea what my mom did for this man. It was 24/7 nursing. She did it humbly with a smile, and she never complained. If you know my mom, that's how she is. Everything is roses and peaches and cream with my mom. So she always, everything's great, and everything, until I got there, everything's great, okay. So that's how my mom always took care of my dad. It was nothing short of incredible. And as I said, both of them neither complained. And at the end of his life, their simple joy was lying together, side by side in bed. And he would say to my mom, even during his final days, he would say, "Karen, where's my girlfriend? Lie down beside me." And they would just want to hold hands. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it was such a special time. He could not be more grateful for the care he received from all of us and his hospice nurses. He constantly thanked everybody taking care of him, and it was a team of us. It was a team of nurses, family members, all of us, my sisters-in-law, and it was constant thank yous from him. I have to give a special shout out to two people who really went above and beyond for my dad. My wife, Kelly, who became his personal nurse, along with our good friend, Rosie Mascarella Bucci. I don't know if she's still here, but Rosie and Kelly did unbelievable care as my dad's nurses, even when he went on hospice. They did amazing work, and I know how much they meant to him. So the last 5 months were filled with terrible suffering for him, and he had the most beautiful and happy death anyone could ask for. He was at home in his bedroom, and he was surrounded by all of us, his children, his daughters-in-law, his grandchildren, when he went home to God. And before he took his final breath, he actually opened his eyes wide. He looked at all of us with a smile. He knew we were all there with him, just as he was always there for all of us. All week, I've heard over and over what a great person he was. A class act. Your dad was a gentleman, the greatest, such a nice guy, as so many people describe him. Hundreds of people came through the line as a testimony to that. You know, my dad treated the simplest of people the same way he treated those with lots of wealth. And that was with respect, dignity, and kindness. So I'll leave you with this quote, because Joe has some things to say. He lived by this quote. Whenever someone asked him, "Hey Fran, how you doing?" during his final days, and all he would say is, "One day at a time." Let's all live by those words. One day at a time. I love you, Dad. Thanks for the memories. Rest in peace.